Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, it's a little chilly in the shop, kind of cold and foggy out there, and I was hesitant to open the shop door, but since Ruby is still naked, but we got to move forward and keep getting work done. And today we're going to be adding some style to this brand new firewall panel. Now, it is a little risky. I mean, I could just stop here and weld this thing on, because if I screw this up, I may have to chuck the whole part and start it from scratch, and I really don't want to do that. We've got a lot of work into this thing, and I really hate to ruin it, but I think it's worth the risk. So, I've had a lot of thoughts about this car, and they've always evolved over the 30 years as my skill got better, my financial situation got better, and now my time has gotten better, so I can put the time and effort in to make this car really special. And so that's what the plan is on this firewall. So let's jump in close, and I'll show you exactly what I want to do. And we're probably going to do one other thing to this firewall before it gets welded on permanently. So let's take a look at it. All right, I had to close the shop door so you guys could see. I had too much glare, but now you can see GTO chalked in on there. Now the idea is to use the CNC table to go ahead and cut those letters out, and then glue and spot weld a plate behind it, and so that will appear embossed. So I think it's going to look really good. I actually used a GTO Emblem off the quarter panel to draw this, and then I obviously upsized it, but I kept the spacing, the shape, everything the same. That's what's great about Fusion 360. It's very helpful in upsizing and doing all that drawing and stuff. So I think they look really good. I think that those letters look factory, just like the emblems. And I've got it mocked up over here on the welding table. This was a test cut. Obviously, I don't want to do it without doing a test cut. I don't want to ruin the firewall, but it came out really nice. Now this is 16 gauge, so that's how it's going to look. Now the idea is once that's bonded to the other piece, then later during finishing, we can actually put a fillet inside here, just a very small one that's only 16 gauge, but it'll make it look like it's embossed in there, and I think it's going to come out really nice. Of course, obviously the O needs to be spot welded and bonded to the plate behind it since it's free floating. But I think it's going to add a lot of style and a lot of really nice look once the hood's open on Ruby. And it's really something that came to me about 6 months ago, and I really like the idea, so I think we're going to go for it. So let's go over and look at the table, get the firewall set up, and do a couple of dry runs, and then pull the trigger and hit go. Okay, I got it on the table. I had to remove a few slats to clear where we have it broke over here. And we do have that piece behind here that raises this up. So I have a couple of pieces of 16 gauge on the other side. So it's perfectly flat. So the tip from the plasma cutter is the exact same height all the way through the run. We're not going to interfere with the bump out for the Hydro Boost over here. It won't get over that far. But I've got it squared up, straight, I think. I think we're about ready. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick dry run one more time just to be sure, and then I'll go ahead and fire the plasma cutter up and tell it to go ahead and cut. So it looks like it's cutting right on the money. It may be a scotch low, but that's okay, as long as it cuts straight and everything goes well. Could you imagine me trying to TIG weld all these back in and grind it smooth and trying again? I'm pretty sure I'd have to chuck the whole part. So it cuts the center of the O out first and then the outer part. So the whole thing doesn't move. And then the G, it cuts pretty smoothly too. So I think we're going to be okay. All right, I'm going to let this finish up. I'm going to get the hose and everything set up for the plasma cutter. And then next time you see this thing, it's going to be blowing a hole in this firewall. Okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Tip up. Looks good. Okay, looks like we nailed it on the straightwise, and the cuts look pretty nice, so took quite a few dry runs to get this thing set up just right, but it was worth it. All right, let's get that off there, get the dross cleared off, and then start figuring out how we're gonna attach a plate on the back side and get these spot welded and glued together. Okay, you know you got your settings right when you can knock the dross off with your fingernail, so that's pretty good. So I'll just hit that with a putty knife or something to knock all that loose. I'll need to file and sand all these, make them super nice, but really the next step is, do I make just individual rectangles to stick on the back side here, or do I make one big old plate? Now I think I have a plate this long, it's a 19 gauge, if not, but I'm thinking it might be easier to apply the adhesive and spot weld if I do one at a time, opposed to trying to get, you know, some adhesive on the whole thing and then getting the whole thing positioned, then holding it there and then spot welding it. So I think possibly it'd be better to cut individual rectangles and then do that. But let me go ahead and get these all cleaned up. I got a lot of hand work to do. I want to file these really well and get all this cleaned up. And then we'll move over to start making some of these and then see about getting some backing plates on here, spot welded on and glued on. Okay, just a little bit of filing. There's a couple little dingleberries, the dross that wouldn't come off just by chipping at it, so I had to file it down on the back side so those plates would lay really flat. But and then I just ran some sandpaper in here. Really, that was all it. I think I lucked out on the settings and nailed them. So it cut really nice and clean. So while I had the cutter out, I went ahead and cut the 3 plates for these. It's just super quick. I'm cutting it out a 19 gauge, and each one is a little bit different size. A little tip up there, but the gun moves around so it doesn't hit them. But yeah, so all we have to do is clean those up, and then we start figuring out how to go ahead and get those glued on and spot welded on here. All right, guys, got everything ready. I cleaned it, sanded it, cleaned it again, and then now I've masked it off just for these the plates here. So all I have to do is put the adhesive in here and then just kind of land these in between the tape lines here, and that's about it. Pretty straightforward. I did have to kind of cut this back a little bit. The firewall drops down inside, so I had to cut some clearance right there, no big deal. So that's going to work out really nice. Now, what to glue these on with. So I have 2 things in the shop right now I can use. 500 degree JB weld, it has over 4,000 PSI bonding strength. It would work perfectly fine for this. Or I have the flutter kit, the 3M flutter kit material, and I just read the instructions, and you can spot weld through it while it's uncured. And that's what we want to do. Unfortunately, you know, JB Weld doesn't think anybody's going to be spot welding, so they don't tell you if it'll do it or not. So I'm going to go with what I know. I just mixed up some of that flutter kit just to test it, and when you mix it together, it starts to thicken because it's designed not to sag. So I did some testing, and I'm going to use a spreader. I made this spreader out of an old bandsaw blade. You can see, I don't know how many teeth per inch that is, but it's fairly coarse. And I'm going to use it like a tile trowel, you know, like a notch trowel, to give me nice uniform adhesive on here. So I have just enough, not too much, because I want the steel to be basically bonded right to it with almost no gap in between. I don't want these sitting up here. I want them down as tight as possible. Then once we get them in position, then I'll bring the spot welder in. We'll just slide this over the edge, and then we'll just spot weld the corners. I may put one right in the center there, and then on the O here, we're gonna clean it up, let it set overnight, and then put the center of the O in later. I'm not gonna try to do all that today. It'd just be a nightmare. So I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna use that flutter kit, and we're just gonna go for it. So let me mix them up. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got it mixed up thoroughly. I think we'll start with a T because it looks like it's the easiest. And I don't know how much to put down, but that's way too much, I can tell you already. Get some of that off there. Now this has about an hour work time. So I just looked at the clock, see what time it is. So I know if I'm getting into danger zone, I need to mix up a fresh batch or whatever. Doesn't matter if it goes on the inside, we're gonna use solvent to clean that up later before it cures. All right, let's try my handy dandy. It doesn't really, lay it down a little bit more. Should have used a smaller, maybe like a hacksaw blade, huh? Yeah, let me go find a hacksaw blade and we'll try that. Okay, got a hacksaw blade here. It's pretty fine toothed. There we go. That's more like what I was envisioning. Okay. Feels like a pretty good film. All right, let's do the next easy. No, I already got some over here. Let's go ahead and do this. Oh, this is working a lot better than that other one. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the paper out of the way. We're gonna get the spot welder out and hit all four corners and probably right in the middle of the G right here to make sure that stays down. Since this is 19 gauge, when I was doing 16 gauge to 16 gauge, I hit it for about 3 seconds. I won't go that long, maybe 1.5 seconds on each one. That should be good enough to hold these together. Not quite sure, I've never spot welded through goo before. Okay, I got it hung over the table here a little bit and just a clamp to make sure it doesn't move on me. And I think I've got them all centered pretty good, so let's just go ahead and give it a try. Just want to make sure I don't make them slide when I clamp here. Like that. Well, it bubbles a little bit. We're looking okay. All right, go through and do them all. All right, let's center the G here. All right. All right, let's get this tape off. Actually, I'm going to get some solvent and clean this up, and then we'll peel the tape off. All right. Flip it over, cross your fingers. Well, we got some spot weld divots. Damn it. I hit the T. Dang it. I almost hit the G right there too. I should have been more careful. I should have picked my spots better. Dang it. I can fix that. It's not the end of the world, but I just didn't want to if I didn't have to. All right, I'm going to clean all this goo out of here and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, got it all cleaned up. G came out really good. These two spot welds got a little close, but they didn't eat over the edge, and it's stuck down really good, and it's nice and clean. The T, unfortunately, I was right on the edge, and it just kind of pushed, when it got hot, it pushed it down. So there's a little metal down on this base plate, so I'll have to get in there with a little Dremel and flatten that out real good, and then once we do the finished work, I'll finish up that edge. It's not at the end of the world by any means. And then the O, pretty easy on the O. This one got a little close, but it didn't hurt it at all. And we'll go ahead and put the center of the O, like I said, on tomorrow. I don't want to mess with that today. I got about a half hour left open on this glue. So what I want to do is flip this over nice and flat on the table here and put a bunch of weight on there and then just let it sit overnight. So we'll pick it up in the morning, see how we did. All right, what a difference one day makes. It's nice and sunny out today. So let's go ahead and get this off. I went ahead and put a big old piece of scored tubing on here for some weight and then put some clamps on it. So let's do the big unveiling here. That's how it looks. Well, it's on solid, that's for sure. I still can't believe I did that. I'm such an idiot. But hey, you gotta fix your own mistakes. That's the way it works. So I think what we're gonna do on the O, let me zoom you in here real quick, and we'll figure out how to get the center of that O in there. Okay, to get the center of the O in the correct spot, what I'm gonna do is just use the piece that was cut out, kind of as my guide, kind of help me center that and get it looking just right, just something about like that. So I think the plan is mix up some glue, get it on this piece on the other side, flop that down inside with this, and maybe get a piece of tape down the middle or something to hold it all in place, and then get the spot welder and spot weld it here, and then just leave it, let it set up, and then we can move on to something else on the firewall. So let me get some glue mixed up, we'll bust it out real quick. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's go ahead and get some goop on here. I'm going to get this all over my hands, I know it, so I'm just going to accept that. Smart thing to do would be put gloves on. Okay, that's pretty good. And drop it in. Easier said than done. Squished in there real good. Just like setting tile. Okay, I'm going to put some tape on here real good, make sure it doesn't move, then we'll slide it over, get it spot welded. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing spot welded. Hopefully it don't move. Try to be careful here. Stinks. All right, I'm gonna get tape off, get that piece out of there before it gets glued in, and clean that up real good. And we're gonna get this on a flat surface and out in the sun, let it bake. Okay guys, got the O done. Came out really nice. Got it all cleaned up. Got them all cleaned up. I got all the goo and everything out of there cleaned up real nice. I even got in there with a burr tool and fixed some idiot's mistake. I flattened it out so it's nice and flat like this piece. I can't fix the little nick out of the little edges here until we get epoxy on it and I can put some filler on it, but it's pretty much ready to go. G came out just as nice and clean. And I'll tell you guys, I'm really liking this. I was just sitting back though looking at it thinking, now underneath the hood is going to be painted red just like the rest of the car, but I was thinking, should I lay in some black in there? What do you guys think? I don't know. I think it's going to look really nice, just look like it's just pushed in and not any color to highlight it, but let me know what you guys think. It's something to think about. We certainly have time to decide that, that's for sure, but I'm really happy with the way it came out, and if my calculations are right and everything, the engine should be just underneath here. The air cleaner or whatever I have may, block the T just a little bit, but you'll definitely be able to see it from the side, and I think it came out really good. The scale, everything I think came out really nice. Really happy I decided to do it. Okay guys, we got the letters done, and I'm just thrilled with the way they look. I really can't wait to get some paint on it so I can see how they're really going to look when it's all done, but we got to be patient. Now, when I started shooting this video, I had every intention of doing some bead rolling as well. And I went over to Dave's, I borrowed his bead roller, and after I got all these cleaned up, I sat down with a Sharpie and I started drawing some designs on the Firewall. I drew 4 or 5 of them, and I just kept wiping them off with lacquer thinner and trying again. I wore out a Sharpie, I had to go get another one. And the more I drew on here, the more I realized I don't think I want any bead rolling on here. I could have done a little, recessed panel here, in or out, pushing out a little bit over here. But the more I drew it and the more I sat there, I felt like it was forced, like I was doing it because almost it's expected of me or everybody else does it. And after I wiped it all down and got everything cleaned up, I tell you, I really like the flat look. I like the cleanness of it, and when it's all painted and done and this is smooth from here down to there, I think that's really the look I want. I may change my mind before I weld it on, but I don't think so. I'll sleep on it, but I really like these letters. I like the way they look, and I don't want to detract from them. That's just basically it. So I think we're going to stop the video right here and call it a win. I didn't screw up. We're not junking the panel and starting over, so it's all good. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you in the next one.